Hello and welcome to Blueprints Academy. I am back again with another small video. In this video, we're going to talk about Spark UI Simulator. Yep, I got to know about this simulator from one of the course that I did on Databricks for Spark optimization, and I found this personally really helpful in order to understand the optimization techniques of Spark. And then I thought to share with all of the people out there. So I believe this is gonna help you in many ways, whether you are trying to understand the Spark UI or trying to replicate some of the use cases, or maybe trying to work on the research and development task with respect to Spark optimization, or maybe you just wanna know how it works. You just wanna know how Spark works on big data. So it's gonna be a really helpful, and I believe it helps you in one or the other way. So basically, the simulator was created. I already told you this is created by Databricks, and it is actually being created for the big data use cases. Okay, so the files that they used here is actually around 4 to 5 TBs of data, and that data is also freely available. You can even replicate all of these experiments. You can run them, go through the UI, and see the stages, jobs, tasks, executors, memory, caching, and many other things. It's literally like you can go through all of these experiments and actually see how Spark is behaving in the backend, in the backend to do your job. So in this video, we're gonna walk through with this simulator, and I'll show you how you can use this in order to understand the concepts of Spark. I'm not gonna go like in all the experiments. They are a lot. I mean, not a lot, but they are still quite significant in numbers. So I'm gonna take one example of one of the experiment just to let you know how you can use a simulator for your own need. So I mean, here you see it has the experiments. It has the name of the experiment. Let's say this experiment is based on exploring the Spark UI, so it might have some normal code like reading, writing, count, or some normal transformation, just for you to understand the Spark UI. And then it has like different kind of scenarios. Let's say shuffle partitions. So here they're gonna have the problem with the shuffle, and then they're gonna have the solution, and then they have this UI, Spark UI, which you can actually travel along and see like how the shuffle solution actually worked in backend to resolve the issue. Then they have joins and many other things. So I mean, because everyone knows join, so let's just go with the join. And if you see, it shows whether this notebook or the code or the experiment is actually available in Scala or in Python. So the join is available in Scala, but I think the logic is not crazy. You can replicate easily in Python if you want. So let's go here, see. So you see, it's literally a Databricks notebook. The only thing is you cannot edit it, of course. See, if I'm clicking it, it's not editing it, so you cannot edit it, but you can play around with it. So here's the heading, of course, and then the notebook. If I click on notebook, it's showing me this whole notebook that was created to do the benchmarking. And the best thing about this particular simulator is you see here the driver and the workers, right? So you literally have the information about the infrastructure or the infrastructure that is being used behind the notebook to run these experiments. Because of course, as I said before, the data is huge. You know, if you see here, it's 100 GBs of data. So of course you need to know what infra or what how many machines you are using to process this data in order to understand the time it takes and how efficient it is when we talk about the optimization, right? So this is very handy and convenient for you to understand. So it says the driver, we have one driver and we have two worker, like the typical Spark cluster. One driver, two workers, nice. So driver with 4 cores and 30 GBs of RAM, and each worker is having 8 cores and 61 GB of RAM. So it's each worker. Okay, now if you see, so they have actually written this notebook in a very beautiful way. I mean, I literally appreciate the effort that they did. So you see, they have the job description, right? So we're going to talk about this, why they have the job description, but this is really helpful. So it's step A, basic initialization. Okay, you import something and then you set the shuffle partition to 832. We are not talking about the experiment itself. Okay, if you want to know like how this experiment is actually optimizing the code, please do let me know in the comments and I can create another video explaining why it's 832. But the whole idea of this video is to let you walk through the simulator. Okay, so the shuffle partitions are 832. Okay, they have disabled the cache and it's just the normal path of the data set, and you see it's a big data, 100 GBs of data, and they are using delta file format, no problem. Then we have a step B, which is establish a baseline. They have made everything false just to have a basic or the normal way how Spark works, not to use any of the predefined optimizations as of now. You read the file and you also write it, and then you read, you write. So this format nope is actually Databricks dependent format. It's not like the common format, but if you use nope, then it's not gonna write actually, but it's gonna simulate the behavior of write. And then you can see like very clearly the jobs it has created and the stages it has created. Again, we don't talk about why these many jobs, why these many stages. We can have a separate dedicated uh, video on this, which is more about understanding Spark in detail if you want. Then we have step C, standard spelling join with skew. So still everything is false. You read again as form of delta, and then you join both, and then you again simulate the right behavior just to trigger an action. Then step D is skew join hint. So here it's same. The only thing is if you see this one hint is skew city ID. So this hint thing is actually Databricks specific. They have something called hint, and then you can give the column to let Databricks know that this column might be skewed. So Databricks gonna take care of it by itself. Again, no talk about skew a lot here. Then AQE join, step E, which is adaptive query execution. This is not Databricks specific, but this is Spark specific. And this adaptive query execution is available after Spark 3.1.2, if I'm not wrong. Again, okay, here we have enabled everything, adaptive and adaptive SQL, adaptive enabled, skew join enabled, of course, because we are checking for AQE, and same join and write. Right, so they did like few experiments here, right? And you can see the jobs and stages. You can also see the time it took here, like 34.0.83 minutes, like this. So this was about the notebook. You can go through the code. You can actually even click on this source notebook and download this code and then run it on your system. But of course, if you play with the configuration of the cluster, then the results might be different. But if you keep the cluster as it's mentioned here, you should be able to get almost same result. Not exactly same, of course, there might be a difference of 1 minute or few seconds, but yeah, similar result. So if you click on source, it's gonna download. It did download on my system. I'm not going to open it, but you can have this code. Now next thing is what I want to talk about is okay, I was telling you that it has something called just job description, step A, step B. So why it's helpful, you wanna just know in a minute. So if I go into Spark UI, let's say, so you see on Spark UI, it has everything. It's literally like if you are running a job, and when job is running, you see this. Or if you are seeing a Spark history server, right? So it's similarly like that, and here you have all the tabs that you can click and know what was the SQL that is being generated. See, all of these SQLs are here. You can see the executor performance, how they were working. Then you can also see the environment. Of course, we already know, but still you can see what all configurations were enabled, what were disabled, what was the properties that were set as part of the job. Storage, you can see the storage. If you see RDD, we have two, right? Disk, memory, serialized, replicated. So also you can have a look here, and then if you go to jobs again, you see these steps E, step E. So you can actually see that this particular job was actually triggered when we did the benchmarking of adaptive query execution. So you can actually go and see what is the DAG. You can also see the uh, command. You can also see the DAG and everything. So that's why I was telling you that why those job descriptions were important, because you can easily walk through them in the jobs tab. And here if you see, we are not talking about the optimization here, but if you see, this is amazing, no? I mean, 512 MBs of data is split all over, which means it's the perfect distribution of the data. No SQ, nothing. Crazy, right? So yeah, but we are not going to talk about the this optimization thing, but it's really beautiful. I mean, it's really beautiful, and it gives you a sense of happiness when you see this kind of thing happening in production. You have like literally the equal amount of data distributed in all the partitions, and then your job is running like smooth. Okay, anyways, so you can actually go through all these steps. You can see everything, literally everything that one should be considered. One should be one should consider when working with the Spark. Then, if you go to cluster, you can see the cluster detail, the configuration. Notebooks. We have one notebooks running with this. Spark UI, driver logs, metrics, apps. You can literally see everything like master, worker configuration, master configuration, and everything. Then here is the information about the dataset. So they have a little warning here that the notebook uses this path, but you should start using this part because they move their data from this path to this path. But it should be fine. If you are trying to replicate, you just change the path and you are all good. You have all the data to test. Home, of course, we are back to our first page that we were looking for initially. And yeah, so that is the Spark UI simulator, and believe me, it's very helpful. You can just go through it. You can actually even see many example like disk only. It has like very nice examples they did. So the important thing is they do the basic normal way at first, and then they try to show you how their experiment is actually behaving, you know. So always the first shell of the notebook or the second shell of the notebook gonna be just the baseline. Of course they say also it's a baseline, but then the other tabs are actually doing what needs to be done as part of the experiment. So it has a lot of experiments, and then I think it has almost all the major problems that we face in day-to-day life when working with Spark, especially spill, bucket join, then joins, especially Z ordered. This is also Databricks specific, just in case. Then you have push down, shuffle partition, max partition bytes, open constant bytes. So it's really helpful, and you have few notebooks in Python, few in Scala. And but I think these experiments are enough to actually get an idea how you can optimize Spark. And believe me, if you go through all the experiment, you are already master in Spark, because when you work on these experiment, you already have a sense of understanding how you can twin the Spark, right? So even if you get any issue in future which is not being mentioned here, you have an idea working with these many optimization techniques already in past, so you create your own solution for the future problem, right? So I believe if you go through all these experiment, it's gonna really helpful for you to grasp the understanding of Spark. So that's all I wanted to tell you. Regarding how you can access this Spark UI simulator, I am gonna write down this in the description of the video, so please take a look there, and then you can access this Spark UI simulator, and then you can play around with it. Also, one more question: if you want me to explain to you like all the experiments, please do let me know in the comments. I can create a dedicated video explaining all of these experiment that were done by the Databricks. I mean, if we have more votes and if we have more comments asking for those videos about each experiment, I can create that video. That's not a problem. But please do have a look on this simulator, and do let me know your thoughts on this simulator thing. Again, thank you to Databricks for making this and making it available publicly for everyone to access. And that's all as part of this video. I hope you like this video and you enjoyed watching it, and I hope it's gonna help you in your day-to-day work or in learning Spark. Until then, see you. Bye bye.